So I will just, quickly introduce Dr. Uma. Uh, I've always call her Umi. That's her pet name. Yeah. Okay. So a brief biography on her. Dr. Uma Maheshwari Ganesan, that's her full name, is an assistant professor of STEM education at the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. She completed her Ph.D. in educational studies, specializing in teaching, learning, and curriculum from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. She also has a graduate certificate in social justice and diversity education from UNL. She completed her MS in environmental toxicology and BS in zoology from University of Madras, India. Dr. Ganesan has an extensive professional experience of 28 years in India, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and the US, and has worked as a senior teacher, teacher educator, and senior management executive. She started her teaching career as a lecturer of anatomy, physiology, and pharmacology in pharmacy colleges in India. She also authored a textbook in 1999 titled Human Anatomy and Physiology for Pharmacy Students. She has taught high school science and social studies and in 3 international schools in Democratic Republic of Congo, where she used to live since 2008. Dr. Ganesan has taught elementary science methods and multicultural education for 4 years and supervised elementary education pre-service teachers at Nebraska-Lincoln University, for which she won 2023 Outstanding Teacher Award from UNL. So, and she also teaches undergraduate, graduate, and doctoral courses such as math, science, elementary science methods, classroom interactions, and special topics in STEM education. So, outside of academia, she has worked as senior manager of operations, training, and quality for medical transcription companies and pharmaceutical companies in India. Dr. Ganesan has won several recognitions and awards during her professional and academic tenures. She recently received the 2024 National Association for Research and Science Teaching Jhumki Basu Scholar Award. And she currently lives in Texas with her husband, who is an accounting professional and entrepreneur. Their son is pursuing his PhD in physics in Georgia Tech University in Atlanta, US. So, warm welcome, Dr. Oma. Over to you.
Thank you
Oh,
so much.
really, really impressive.
Awesome,
Really
awesome.
impressive.
Wow, very
We are
impressive.
so honored to have you
Oh,
know
Yes.
an educationist and real eminent person amongst us tonight.
oh,
Really looking
you've
forward
all
to
been
it.
so kind. Thank you so much. I hope that's what I said. I like to be grounded and I like to be humble in the sense that I want to start the presentation and I hope I will somehow fulfill your expectations. Anyways, I'll share my screen now. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's visible.
Okay. So basically, I'll just start off the presentation topic I have chosen for this workshop is like, not the workshop, it's like a presentation is professional development workshops for teachers in India. Because I understand that you all are having a lot of varied or diverse experiences. So I would say that my specialty is education. So I would like to concentrate on this first. So introduction is like, I want to give you all an overview of what kind of professional development workshops can we have for teachers. So in my opinion, since I've been in marketing also, I believe in USPs to start any kind of venture. So I believe that we need to be forming a unit or workshop which will address the unique needs of schools and teachers. We need to know our market, where we are going to be focusing on the business or even the workshops. Everything has to be very, very unique, addressing the needs of schools and teachers and provide them the tailored solutions. So which will actually target long-term benefits for the teachers that are participating in the professional development opportunities. So there are various categories of PD opportunities in the global educational landscape. So I will finally, I will go over each and every category And then in conclusion, we can see what impacts of these workshops will have on teacher development and teacher career goals. So I would like to start off with an overview, which is like why we need this. You must be wondering why we are even talking about professional development workshops. So basically, there are many challenges that are faced by Indian educators, because I've been one not very long ago, but then I've been fortunate to gain a lot of experience in different diverse learning environments and work environments in Democratic Republic of Congo, where I was living for almost 11 years, and in the US for 6 years now. So, based on that experience and the experience that I had in India, I would say that we need to be tailoring the strategies to enhance teaching effectiveness and student outcomes. What are meant by student outcomes? Like basically, we are worried about whether they are having a good learning environment, or even are they succeeding academically. So what I call is like, these are the goals that we need to have to tailor solutions for Indian educators. So the first kind of I would say the most priority now in forms of PD opportunities is, PD is professional development, by the way. So incorporating technology in the classroom. So what it means is, like, will have to have a practical guidance, the technology integration, which will be actually having their teaching methods should be such that the students are engaged effectively, and they will keep pace with the evolving educational landscape. So it's just not use of computers or just the phone or anything. That it is very simplistic, as you all see in the picture, the stock image that I've put here, but it is not so simple. We need to be really mindful of actually how to create a environment for the students, so that they will actually imbibe all the knowledge and also take it forward. What I believe is in vertical alignment. Like, for example, if you take from like kindergarten through grade 12, I'm only taking into K through 12 education, like kindergarten through 12 education, but we can take it forward to even post-secondary education. Like, after you finish high school, you go into undergraduate education or graduate education. Everything should be aligned properly, so that the technology that they're using, it has to be actually scaffolded. It has to be scaffolded in each degree. And so that when they come up the grades, they will have all the necessary knowledge and tools and skills to survive in the 21st century landscape. So that's what I've put this as first need for PD opportunities. And then the second very important need is to differentiate instructional strategies. Like, for example, how will these strategies, or what are these strategies? Like, what are these? First is personalized instruction. So that is very, very important. And then ensuring that all students, regardless of their background or abilities, receive tailored support and opportunities for academic success. Now, why is this important? Is because we need to create an inclusive learning environment and improve, academic outcomes for all students. So that's very important. I will talk more about the inclusivity in the future slides, but this is one of the very important goals that we have to have as educators. So the third or the next professional development opportunity is to give them good assessment and feedback techniques. So what is meant by assessment? Assessment is some way that we gauge or evaluate student understanding. So the thing is, like, there are various methods or various ways in which we can test the student's knowledge. Like, for example, I've given you a small kind of like a Venn diagram here. So basically we talk about formative assessments and summative assessments. So all this formative is very basic, and that is low stakes, I would say. Summative is high stakes. So the formative assessments are those that that can be tested in class, like, just as having an exit ticket once the students finish the work, or even just informal conversations with them and group discussions and stuff like that. But then for summative evaluations, that involves like formal quizzes or tests, or those kind of things. But then there are, first of all, assessment is always process oriented and evaluation is product oriented. So there are some commonalities, like both require data and utilize measures, and they are both user oriented. So basically, we need to create assessment and feedback techniques which have tailored feedback, and as actually a progress monitoring of students are maintained. That is what we would like to see in this. And then the most important, and my research focus, is culturally and linguistically sustaining pedagogies. What I mean by this is, I will definitely go over that in the next slide, but then what is meant by culturally and linguistically sustaining environment is because we need to celebrate our diversity and foster respect among students of different cultural and linguistic backgrounds. So why do we need to do that? Because we need to promote a sense of belonging and academic success among students. So when we talk about all this, why do we need this is because we can positively interact with students. We can encourage open and honest and respectful class discussions, use inclusive language. So I always believe in using people first language. Like, for example, many people, I would say they use terms like disabled persons, or people who are blind, or something like that, But the thing is, here in the US, it's catching up, but many people are using people first language, like persons with disabilities, or persons who are hearing impaired, or persons who are visually impaired, or something like that. So that we are not talking about the disability that the person has, but rather we focus on the person. That's why. And also now people are more multilingual because it is globalizing, right? The whole world is actually becoming very small. So all students from various backgrounds and various languages, they come, and diverse landscapes, they come here to the US or even India also, I believe. So, they come and study there. So what happens is, here is like, we need to have some what you call a respectful way of addressing them, and especially talking to them as emergent multilinguals. It's not that don't ever, I don't believe in saying English language learners, because that's a very that the focus is on English. That's what I don't want in my students, that I give them all flexibility to do in whichever language they choose, because it's actually an asset for them. Having knowing more languages is actually an asset rather than a deficit. We always believe in promoting the asset view rather than the deficit view. So that's what. And then we as teachers, we always believe in actively discouraging incivilities in the classroom, like, racist remarks, or, people who are passing unnecessary comments about some people, or, just not even I would say in India, we have enough and more diversity, I guess, like, because I believe diversity is not only on race, because we all belong to the Dravidian race or the Aryan race. That doesn't matter. But then we also are different in so many different ways, like age, gender identity, or socioeconomic class. And there are so many ways that people are diverse. And so that's what we need to be focusing on, rather than, just focusing on race and, just nationality or ethnicity and stuff like that. So those, I believe, we in research, we always say it's an iceberg model, where, like 75% of the iceberg is always covered, it is below the ocean, and whatever you see on the top is very minimal, like maybe 10% or 15% is what you see actually. So the culture of a person is not actually very visible, except for the food or clothes or something like that. So that's the reason we need to be really very culturally and linguistically responsive and sustainable. We have to create sustainable environments. So here, like, we talk about so many different ways of culturally dash education. What I mean by dash is like, I'll scaffold it all for you. So we can have culturally sensitive education where we are just aware about the cultural differences and similarities between people without assigning them a value. This is the first form of being culturally aware about the situations. Then Dr. Gloria Ladson Billings, she's the pioneer in culturally relevant pedagogies. She has created an atmosphere where teachers will take students' everyday lived cultural experiences and make proper linkages between to intended learning. And teachers are cultural translators and bridge builders. So that's culturally relevant education. But when you go even above that, you will get culturally responsive pedagogy or education where schools will adapt to students. Like, what I mean by adapting is to teachers see the student as source of knowledge and bearers of information. So this one is actually catering to students having many assets that can be very responsibly leveraged and to bring their own cultural references and fluencies into the learning spaces. Then finally, or the most appropriate, in my opinion, is culturally sustaining pedagogy, which I'm striving very hard at. So my research agenda is all, it revolves around this. So what it means is students' heritage, community, cultural practices are resources to honor, explore, and extend. And also, we believe that we have to reaffirm their identities in learning. So, and then youth are producers of culture as well as consumers. So that's the highest form we can take to inculcate the culturally sustaining education. So that's what we as teachers, we always try to get to. Okay, now we can go to 21st century skills. That's very important in this educational milieu. So, because, what is meant by critical thinking, problem solving, adaptability, because we are preparing students for a competitive global economy. So, unless and until they are having an analytical mindset, which promotes like problem solving or critical thinking and being flexible, because we have so many different communities and work environments where people have to be not only talented and skillful, they also have to be flexible and also adaptable to work in different with different work partners. So that's why we need to be making them very efficient in adapting to change. So, I've just given you a brief shot of what all are expected of a 21st century classroom. So we always have an audiovisual projection going on. And then there are online courses and there are games because now AI is becoming so big. We as teachers, or professors, we are really adapting to how we can use Chat GPT or any other AI model into education, because we are really aware about it and we know that the students are using it. So we are thinking of creative ways in which we can engage the students so that they are not actually cheating or plagiarizing. Instead, we actually give them opportunities to engage with the AI and produce something creative on their own. So all these things we are trying to do here. So, and very importantly, I would say that, all teachers will have to have top 3 reasons as to adapt to diverse learning styles, boost student motivation, and then enhance material being taught. So that's the main aim of the whole, the components of a 21st century classroom. So the next PD opportunity could be like effective classroom management strategies, because, many times it so happens is it's so chaotic. because I've been in that environment, and I can say for sure that the environment, the teaching environment is not so ideal always, because either the students will be like they won't be responsive, or they might be like very aggressive, or they won't be really taking part in many activities. Like for example, they don't have a positive or conducive learning environment. So I would suggest, like, when we think about all this, we need to maximize the instructional time and minimize the disruption. So that's why we need to be focusing on something like layout, materials, instruction, policies and procedures, time and behavior to have an effective classroom management. So this is what I believe, that it's very, very important to create a conducive learning environment. And the most important, because we have a huge teacher shortage, not only in the US, but I believe it's also true in India. And we have lots and lots of stresses, because we have to develop lesson plans for each and every, for example, any elementary teacher in the US here, they work from almost 7 a.m. or 7:45 to 3 or 3:30, and the same teacher is throughout the class periods. They don't change. But the secondary teachers also, they are very busy in the sense. And also in schools in India, we know that we have like someone called as class teachers, who are really in charge of the complete like set of students. And then there will be different professors or teachers who are coming into the class, and so there are lots of stress. We need to be giving them good support, how to cope with these stressors, and also offer coping strategies and well-being techniques, which basically what could this lead to is to increase job satisfaction and longevity in the profession. So that's basically the goal of removing, or actually addressing, I would say. We cannot remove the stresses, because we are in a socio-political environment where any kind of stressors can affect us. So that's why I believe that we can only address those stresses, and then we can actually help teachers to have a longer tenure in their jobs. Okay, so the next one we could have PD workshops is about parent-teacher communication and collaboration, where effective partnerships and which will enhance student outcomes and homeschool relationships. So that's very important, right? Like, because student academic journey is dependent on the interaction between parents and teachers. So what I believe now in this milieu, what we are in, I would say that there's not only parents that are involved. There are like caretakers, grandparents, I mean, extended family, or even just like foster parents. Those all of them, I categorize them as parents, because they are the caretakers of students. So we need to be collaborating with each and every stakeholder here, so that the student learning outcomes can be improved. So, and then of course we cannot underscore the importance of literacy and numeracy development, where we are having a lot of methods and strategies to improve these. So they can lay the strong academic foundation for success. Like for example, in literacy, we need to be improving their grammar knowledge, or text knowledge, word knowledge, visual knowledge. And we can do it by various means. And also in numeracy, you all know that there are some basic mathematical concepts and skills that the person or the student has to know. So all of these have to be developed to make sure that the students are having numeracy and literacy skills to advance in their grades. And I would say another important goal for the professional development workshop is about the career development guidance. So basically, the teachers can enable them to be abreast of emerging trends, because that's very, very important as teachers. So to stay updated, and they have to also be aware of themselves, like self-awareness. and they can explore their career, and then they can plan their career. So all of this needs a concerted effort from the PD person to actually help them navigate these challenges. Otherwise, they feel like deflated or demotivated so to do the career advancement goals. So that's the thing. And finally, I know I won't bore you with all this information because it's like getting too wordy, I think. So I generally time it out, and I timed it around like 20 minutes. So this is my last slide, guys. So I would like to conclude by stating that there are specific needs that are addressed with actionable strategies. So what are these? The first thing is not only addresses the specific needs and challenges of Indian teachers, but also provides actionable strategies and tools for professional growth and classroom success. And these workshops are uniquely designed for Indian teachers, addressing specific needs and challenges faced by educators in the Indian context. So basically that's it. So I am so very grateful and honored to have presented in front of such a eminent crowd. And I would love to take some questions from you all. Thank you so much.
Uh, Thank you, Dr. Uma. It was actually a very insightful presentation. Um, I would like
Thank
to
you.
have a couple of questions.
Mhm.
One being with the advent of technology and the kind of technology that is coming, and the kind of exposure the students are having to technology,
Mhm.
and the kind of AI tools, etc., which are coming. How do
Mhm.
we ensure as teachers
Mhm.
that we are getting the students to run the right kind of knowledge? That is one. Second is with
Mhm.
the kind of conversation or the kind of chats these new generation has,
Mhm.
uh, there are a lot of short forms being used, there are a lot of
Mhm.
alternatives being used. So
Mhm.
uh, like LOL, etc., etc., etc. Okay.
Okay.
And it is also being witnessed in the kind of answers they write. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. This is the second part of it. The third part of it is
Mhm.
they are becoming more lazy with the creativity. I,
Mm.
I, I may be wrong in saying that, but that is what I've observed. They are becoming more lazy with the creativity, and they don't
Mhm.
want to use a paper and pencil. So
Oh,
how do we sort of uh, as teachers address these questions, or rather address these kind
okay.
of challenges?
Right. Perfect. So are you a teacher?
I do teach, but not
Uh-huh.
in not
Formal
exactly.
settings. Formal
Not a
settings, you mean.
EA teacher
Mhm.
who teaches in classrooms. So
Yeah.
I teach public speaking and speech and drama to schools from the
Mhm.
age of first to grade, that is K1 to
Yeah.
K2, as you mentioned.
That's great. I mean, basically, yeah, that's what I meant, like formal settings and informal settings, because I believe in both formal and informal learning, because we do like lots of STEM projects outside of classroom, like the formal settings. Yes, to address the first question that you asked, how to engage our students. I'm a firm believer on hands-on and minds-on activities, which is like very engaging rather than, in my classrooms, if you come or if you have the chance to come, you will see that I always engage students with hands-on activities in the sense that they have to first. I also follow something called as the 5E model of teaching, like instructional model, where we first engage the students and gain the prior knowledge of our students. That's the first E of the 5 E's. And then the second one will be explore, like that's where they actually explore the materials in the whatever is being provided to them, because basically I'm a science teacher, right? So I'm in the sense like I go in for the science pre-service teacher. So and then they do the explanation part where they themselves give the explanation, and then the teacher explains to them the actual concept or whatever they are being taught. And then the fourth stage is elaboration, where they actually do practical, like we cannot expect students be off their phones or off the technology or off the computer, because we actually encourage it. in the form of, researching on different practical applications of a particular concept. Like for example, if I teach a concept on magnets or something, I always encourage them to go look for videos or look for practical applications of magnets in everyday lives, So that's how we make them extend their thinking. And the last one is evaluate. Evaluation also, there are various ways that I use. I always love technology. I use lots of other tools like Padlet or, Google Slides, or, just make them do. They love doing all this, so let them do that. I believe in that. So let them do, let them have the opportunity to go engage with technology, so that they are not actually diverted, rather than focus on the task that is being given to them. So that's how I make because it's so difficult. See, we cannot expect our kids or our future generation to be the same as we have. We have studied, and so I usually like them to write, but nowadays it's becoming more and more prevalent to use technology, and I generally give them online assignments to do, or something which they can engage with technology, and nobody's going to tell anything to them. So that's I think I answered the first question. And the third question, may I know what is the second question you asked, so that I can address that?
Yeah, sure. With the advent of AI and chat GPT, the lack of creativity. Basically, let's say if I ask somebody to do a essay on, let's say, the effects of pollution, what happens is
Okay.
I'll go to chat GPT, I'll say, okay, thank you very much. I need a essay of 200 words. What do you want? And it also goes ahead what we call as plagiarism. Of course, it is not so relevant in the,
Plagiarism.
yeah, not relevant in the schools, but in the highest higher in the higher studies, that becomes
Okay.
very relevant. And there are many such incidents where students have been rusticated, or students have been asked to, their papers have been cancelled because it was
Okay.
already work of somebody else. So how do we see, at one end it's a boon, at the other end the creativity of the mind is lost because I don't apply my mind to do what is supposed to be done.
Yes, I totally get you, Mr. Tapasvi. I don't get your last name, but then I definitely appreciate your question. And also, I would say that Chat GPT is there, but it is not smart enough compared to the human mind. So being teachers, we
I
can
completely
definitely
agree to that.
recognize. Yeah, so we can recognize the kind of content which is produced by artificial intelligence. And what we do, that we leverage artificial intelligence to make students think. It is not just giving them a prompt. Give them something like, which cannot be done by AI. Like, for example, they themselves, what we do here is they themselves create a prompt from the AI and do workshops within the classroom. You know what I mean? Like they do the work, getting the prompt and getting the AI to do the work, but they actually collaborate and give them a lot of opportunities to interact. That interaction, AI cannot help them, right? So that's how I promote. AI is there; it's going to be there, or even get better, right? We cannot stop that. We just cannot, because we are fighting against technology, which is like gaining an upper hand. But I would say, as teachers, give them assignments where there is no chance for them to actually just copy and paste. You know what I mean? So that's the main reason that we as teachers will have to be really mindful of what kind of assignments we assign to the students. So make it more collaborative, make it more interesting, and make it more I would say practical for students to do in the classroom rather than outside the classroom, or just write up, because it's easier for us to grade, right? Like, it's just taking a paper and correcting it, that's easier. But if you actually put our minds to it, we can create some assignments which are little analytical, which cannot be done through AI, and that can be boosted. The knowledge of students can be actually boosted, and yeah, it'll promote the critical thinking. Yeah.
Thanks.
I
Thanks.
hope it answered the question.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. And Mr. Sanjay, you raised your hand, and I believe, can you, like, do you have any question for me?
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm,
Dr. Umar, thank you very much.
mhm,
And first of all, it was a wonderful, short, sweet, and precise session. And
mhm,
as Tapaswi had asked, because I lowered my hand after that, because the second question of Tapaswi was in line with what I was worried. Not
okay.
exactly worried, but of course, the technology is changing and
Mhm,
it is improving very quickly.
mhm,
So, thinking about that it is restrictive in nature is not
mhm,
going to help. And
mhm,
the demand, see, currently the demand in the school from the
mhm,
students might
mhm,
be in line with the typical protocol or the syllabus of class 10 and class 12. But
mhm,
when these students are thrown into the real career world, there the
mhm,
demand is going to be with a pace of 5x, 6x, 10x.
yes.
At that time, leveraging their own creative instinct would take a back seat, and they are totally
Mhm,
going to use whatever the different artificial intelligence platforms which are evolving on a daily basis, something like
mhm.
Gemini and ChatGPT and multiple. So I'm
Yes.
little worried about this when we talk about you have said a wonderful thing that AI is not a threat, but we ask our students to use it creatively. How far is it
Yes.
going to be sustained in the next few years when they are really out in the open world, like where the demand
Mhm,
is going to be unpredictable and fierce? So that
mhm.
was an extension of Tapaswi's question. Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, thank you so much for this question. I definitely would love to answer this because that's what, one of the slides in mine, I showed you about the 21st century skills for students, how to develop the creativity and critical analyzing skills and even problem solving capabilities. So, all these can be developed only when students are engaged in these kinds of projects, which are like which will promote the social awareness about themselves and critical consciousness. And so all of this is going to be very much important for us as teachers to develop that skill, so that when they go out in the field, it becomes so normalized in for them, like this is what I'm expected to do. There is no burnout there. When we as teachers, when we have to be worried is when we only give a kind of lecture based instruction. Lecture based instruction is definitely not going to help them, because I believe like project based learning, there are so many PBLs which we know as educator, problem based, place based learning, or phenomenon based learning, or I mean there are so many ways in which we can engage the students. What I believe is, give them opportunities to do, and also develop the environmental stewardship or just social consciousness. What I mean by social, because when we do a kind of integrated project, if they have every single subject they take, they have to do an individual project, I believe is too much stress on students, and we should make learning fun for students, not burden them with so much work that they actually get like fed up. That's the reason. Sometimes I feel that Indian teachers or the Indian educational system, because I've been through it, my sister has been through it, and that's been really very stressful for students. Now, some students can cope with it, some cannot. So that is why we as teachers, we need to be focusing on how to develop these kind of project based learning. And that too, like for example, I would say take a environment, like somebody told an example of pollution, right? Like effects of pollution on a particular environment. So why not science teachers, math teachers, social studies teachers, and English language arts like ELA teachers, all of them combine, co-teach the course or the project. So every single component is addressed in a single project. You know what I mean? Like, for example, science teacher can focus on the standards and whatever they're going to be focusing on, or the pollution, or the environmental aspects, what is ozone layer depletion and whatever it is, and and then the math teacher can go to the actual graphing of the data, or this, and the social studies teacher can actually go into the civics part of it, and how we can inform the policy, educational policy, or even the government. Like, I have had my students in Congo write a letter to the province governor. Can you believe it? Like, they wrote a letter to the governor because their water quality was not good. And there was a lot of incidences that was happening, which is causing a lot of public health hazards for the communities. So all of this is possible if teachers have a concerted effort and also combine their skills and knowledge and co-teach a particular, I would say, content. So, and English teachers definitely can contribute to this, because they can give writing prompts, right? Like, they can give writing prompts focused on this issue, social awareness or skills, or, civic action projects. So all of this, what happens finally, I believe in creating a holistic student, because the student is one. There is no like a science box or a math box or a social studies box where we fill in information. So that's what I always feel. The great Paulo Freire, from Brazilian pedagogy expert, he has told that we cannot use a banking mode of education, banking model, where we are just filling in buckets, like this bucket is full of science, this bucket is full of math or something like that. So we need to consider the student as a whole student, and help them learn the whole concept of it. Why are we doing this? Why are we learning? People don't even know why we are learning about King Ashoka or King somebody. Yeah, so all of these should have a goal, or they should actually find meaning in understanding why we are doing this. So that's the reason I would say that yeah, I hope it answered your question. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
Mr.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. What about Mr. Jai Kotwal?
Dr. Shivkumar also had some question.
Oh, okay. That's
Such
nice.
an honor to have Dr. Shivkumar also part of the session. I think Dr. Jyoti has got some other engagement. She's not. No, Jyoti is here. Okay, so we have
Okay.
3 doctors.
Oh, nice. Very nice. But I'm not a doctor by profession, but doctor by research.
Dr. Shivkumar also has been a lecturer and a professor. Yes.
Excellent. Oh, great meeting you, Dr. Shiv Kumar. Yeah, thank
Dr.
you so much.
Shivkumar
I'm
is
very much here, Gayatri.
Uh-huh.
Hi, Dr. Jyoti. No, I thought.
Dr. Uma, let me introduce you I'll introduce Dr. Shivkumar to you.
Uh-huh.
He's a management professor, and he's had 40 years of experience teaching
Oh my God.
to students management
Oh,
and
okay.
various subfields under management. And he's also taught organization behavior, OB, to students, college students and university students. And that is, Dr. Shivkumar is here. So I think he wants to say something.
Oh, fantastic. It's a great honor, sir, to meet you. And
Actually,
I'm a
it's a
fledgling
pleasure.
compared to you. Thank you so much.
In fact, today I finished my work and I wanted to join the session. I'm happy that I could make it. In your presentation, you mentioned 2 points, Dr. Uma. One is about stress management for the teachers.
Yes.
The other one is to instill a sense of confidence in our college teaching service. We have refresher courses and orientation courses. Those who join the service early, after 3 years, we give them orientation course, and at the end of 6 years, we give them a refresher course. Something like this we always do. We call it a faculty development program. So when you said stress management, the research I've done on this particular stress management happens primarily because they are not able to manage their time.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
The 1,440 minutes they have in a day, if they are able
Right.
to, before going to sleep the previous night, if they sit and
Mm-hmm.
work out, these are the things which I have to do tomorrow. And this is the time that is likely to happen. And you mentioned a case where the physics or the science teacher, everybody joining together to give a project.
Mm-hmm.
So for that, it's not an individual person. So for that, you'll have to put some time. So everything, if you do it according to this, to a large extent, you will know what exactly you'll have to do and how you can manage it with proper time allocation. So this is something which we have tried in not only for them, but even for primarily for the school students.
Yeah.
I have conducted a lot of program on how to manage examination stress with proper time management. Especially students who don't like some subjects, how they have to get that interest, because whether they like it or not, unless they clear the course, they'll not get the 12th or they'll not be allowed to go for the college.
Yeah.
The second one is to make the teachers themselves realize what are the mistakes that they are making unconsciously. What we do is we used to do called micro teaching.
Yeah, micro teaching. Yes.
Micro teaching, a teacher takes the class, we video the whole thing and show it to him again, so that there are some people who use the fillers. There are some people who say if, suppose, things like this. They are not doing it knowingly, it is unconsciously they are doing it. And these kind of mistakes, when it happens to students who come from all over, they will immediately feel, I think, that whatever esteem they may have for a particular faculty may not be at that level. So when we provide this faculty development program, if we point it out, one of the, I will just give you an example. One of the teachers was a very good statistics teacher. So, but he was rolling his chalk in his hand all the time. The committee, five of us, our chair told, sir, can you give me the chalk for a minute? And he gave the chalk. Believe me, after for next 7 minutes, he never talked. Then the chair returned. Thank you very much. You can have the chalk. Immediately it started. So in the video, we showed it to him how just because we removed the chalk, he stopped, and statistics start coming from the chalk piece. But that is something which is a support which he was looking for. So many teachers, they have unconscious thing. And when we identify and tell them this is what you're doing, there are some people who have the mannerism of adjusting their collar, doing some kind of a thing to instill a confidence in themselves. Especially if you're going to tell me that a number of nationalities are sitting in front of you, it is a challenge, and it's something which requires, because I had an opportunity to work in an institution where 46 nationalities were students. So, so these are the points. If you are doing these things, to a great extent, you can see. The other one is many of them are not, very honestly, are not coming teaching something which they like to do. The global statistics says 5% of the people only dream of a job and they get the job. 15% of the people dream for a job, but they get something which is associated with that. Like, I want to be a pilot, I am a cabin crew. I want to be a doctor, I am a dentist. Something related to your health. Remaining 80% get the job, which they get it. And those who want to be committed, they start working from within and they get the commitment. Others work because they have commitments and they want to keep pushing. So these are some of the things which I wanted to share with you. And if you are doing that stress management test, definitely you will find a lot more positive results coming for all the activities suggested.
Excellent. Thank you so much, sir. It's been such a great honor to listen to you and get your feedback, and really it is unfortunate truth, even though we call teachers teaching as a noble profession, and we always revere our teachers, right? Like doctors and teachers are always revered, but unfortunately they are a very low paying job.
Yes.
Yes, and the main thing, like maybe not for professors or in the universities, but still for teachers in K through 12 system, it is definitely a low paying job, and they are probably they're just wanting this profession just out of the need to have a job. But then how to inculcate the passion in them is to create such opportunities for them to engage in stress busters, stress management. And yeah, and also micro teaching. You absolutely nailed it, sir. Yes, I always believe in micro teaching, and I give plenty and more opportunities for my pre-service teachers to give peer feedback. We have presentations in class, and when they go into the field as well, which we call as practica, like practicums, and then after practicums, they go to actual student teaching. So, those kind of opportunities, we do give them supervising, and then we do have them do micro teaching in classroom, and then that's how we improve them as teachers and build their knowledge base. So thank you so much for
Doctor,
sharing all this.
additionally, we are all facing one additional problem. It's Google.
Yeah.
Because the
Yes.
moment you tell a topic, immediately the students will check in that, and whatever points he gets, they expect the teacher to talk. The teacher might have referred to 4, 5 textbooks, all that, and he will come out with something, and they will say, "Sir, in Google, sir, this is point that is referred." This is an additional problem which all the
Okay.
teachers face, whether you are teaching college or your
Right.
masters, whatever it is. This is one area which you will have to. Before going to the
Yes.
topic, we'll have to go through the Google, find out what are the points they have mentioned. Make sure those points are not at all repeated by us in our presentation. That's also something which I
Even I
That's
think even
true.
medical doctors face that problem.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Patients.
they face
I
it.
was,
Yeah.
I was
Yes.
just going to say that it has become everywhere now.
Yeah,
When
medical
patient walks
doctors
in the
also
cabin,
face that problem because
uh,
patients come with their own knowledge
right.
thanks to Google.
So forget about symptoms
Right.
and everything. Nowadays, when patient walks in the cabin, they will give the diagnosis themselves to me. That okay, doctor, I'm having anxiety, I'm having this ADHD, I'm having whatever different kind.
The
Yeah.
diagnosis also is given to you.
Yeah. So then I have to tell them that okay, if you have already diagnosis, then better get the treatment as well. Not on the Google itself.
Imagine if the
Yeah.
teacher is not very confident and the student gives these points. Probably you are right. Correct. Finished.
Just to answer your question, and also probably just my 2 cents, I would say, just give the students a overall overview of what is put out in Google is not the authority. What I mean is, like, I always tell my students is, like, anyone can post on the internet, and anyone can create a blog, or anyone can create some for example, Wikipedia itself. We don't allow any students to actually do Wikipedia, because Wikipedia is like a common platform. Anyone can update it, and of course there should be some proper authorization to do that, but still it's not the be all and end all. That's what we say, and we always tell the students to we prescribe certain readings which are research peer reviewed journal articles. So those peer reviewed journal articles is like 100% sure, like, it's published, and it's published in valid journals, and also, so that's the way we develop the knowledge. So it's just my 2 cents, sir. I know people are more into Googling now. I understand, and I recognize and I acknowledge that fact, but still I would say that the more we give them proper referenced peer reviewed journal articles or textbooks, I believe we can take care of the situation. I definitely empathize with Dr. Jyoti Maheshwari that, the patients who are self-diagnosing themselves and self-treating themselves, that cannot be avoided. I'm not too sure about that. But then for as teachers, we do have still a certain authority over our students, and also, certain control, I would say, in the classroom. So I believe we can do that and help students navigate this this challenge. Of course, we should be prepared. Like I always be prepared, and I always tell them, even if I don't know, don't worry, I will look it up and let you know tomorrow. That's how I deal with situations, because I consider myself as a lifelong learner, and I don't have any shame to look it up and then go back to my students and clarify the doubt or question that they have. Yes.
In fact, one of the sessions I had for speech and drama, so I'd asked
Uh-huh.
them, do a search on Google for push and pull technique of mime. Okay. Now,
Okay.
what the students did it, they forgot the mime and they got something else. And I was like wondering, and the person comes and tells me, "Sir, I did this, but it is giving me some other result." I asked the person, "What did you do?" They said, "I just wrote push and pull technique." Now you can imagine what it is going to give you a result about. Please let your thoughts run flight. Actually, that was the result, and it's like you can't. It's like you have to give exact, as you mentioned, you have to give them exact prompt to tell what you have to do. Otherwise, they'll come with, God forbid, the results will be really embarrassing.
Right.
Dr. Uma, can I
Okay.
please? I'll just
Yeah,
quickly say
sure.
it's not much.
Mr. Kotwal also had a question, I believe. Like I
Okay.
remember, of course. Yeah,
Okay.
please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am, so very much. And I'm Colonel. Otherwise, I served in the Indian Army for about 30 years, and now I'm
Oh,
with
nice.
the education group. Although my it's not on the academic side. And my question was just because of your global exposure, I am very keen to know as to what kind of cultural difference in this education system you found there. Because although we may be claiming that we have got CEOs for the best companies, but employees, they're not the brains behind, they are not the catalysts behind that startup.
Yeah.
So, what is the difference that you found as an observer? I don't mean like what you are doing about it, but just as an observer, as a parent, as an educator, as a student. So, what is that we lack and our government's supposed to do? And you are aware, like NEP is doing a lot of things. We have got IGSC curriculums, we have got I curriculums, and yet there is no, that uniformity in the system where one of us feels, we are at par. And some parents are pushing their children and spending a lot of money and effort on getting them still into those IITs and IIMs, and they are still institutions of excellence where somebody can afford a good quality education.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question. I definitely will try to answer as to the best of my knowledge. So what I think is happening here is the cultural differences is that I would say not more of cultural differences or not. Basically, it also involves the standard processes that are followed in different countries, or different cultures. In India, we do have like a lot of diversity in terms of like each state has its own standards for education, and also that's one thing which I believe we could unify. I would say unify to get into a picture, and we also have a lot of barriers like language in different states, and we do have state medium schools and central board, all of these. So that's one thing which I believe, like in the countries that I work with, like in Congo, it was all mostly the French is the official language there. I was fortunate enough to learn a little bit of it, and yeah, in the US it's mostly English. So but then it doesn't matter. What we have now is to have a unified system in which all students everywhere, like the public education which is there happening in the US. So that public education, if something could be done in India to have a unified process which will inform the future generations, that would be highly helpful. But again, as an individual person and a mother myself, I don't think I'll be able to do anything, in the sense that I can only mobilize some forces, or we can mobilize to form a social action. But a personal opinion or a personal observation point of view, we have to really depend on our governments to do the bulk of the work. But again, as having said that, I would say that each and every citizen has his or her own strengths, right? So we all, as like this group itself, like we are also committed, right? So this committed group can go on, build up on the forum and take it forward to the next level. I think it's possible, sir. I mean, I really hope so. It is possible. So that's how I take it. I'm a very positive person. So I think that's why I think I'm telling all this. But then somebody else actually asked me something. I don't know. Is it Miss Rina or
That was
I'm not sure.
me, myself.
Oh, okay.
I'll
Oh,
just
okay. Yes.
I'm just first of all, thank you, Dr. Uma. You are an expert in this your area, and you have a very firm ness in your way of talking. You're a very good orator. At least I was glued to listening to you. And so thank
Thank
you for
you.
the wonderful session. I have a couple of questions because I'm also a parent of a teenager. So, do you think, what's your point of view? Are we just, I mean, we all are in a race wherein technology is kind of pulling or kind of attracting all of us towards its side, wherein we may at some point we may have a downfall. And so, is it more important about going along with what technology, or because I have my friend circles who are pretty educated, they are doctorates and all those PhD degrees, but still they are letting their children learn in a gurukul. So they are not, I mean, they are the set of parents who are absolutely okay with there's no tension of ICSE, CBSE, all those boards, because they know that it is more of a kind of diverting thing for the student's mind or the generation current, because these are the futures of our country. So they what most ultimately as a human, it's also believed that in your life, if you understand that you are a moral, and only then you will start enjoying things if you do it joyfully. So, what is
Yes,
more important? Do we start running towards what technology is offering and just keep ourselves, because we are stressed, we are confused, we have anxieties, even as a parent, as a child? Both of these sides are facing the similar kind of issue. So, are we not just getting into a mess up on ourselves? And should we not just calmly think about coming out of it and taking things in a very calm approach, that what's more important as a human, as a body, why are we here in this world, and while we leave, what is that we are gonna leave back? So I just wanted to have your point of view on this.
Definitely. Thank you for this profound and very important question. I would say, like, it's not even a question, it's just like a thought to process. I would say that, being a parent is a huge responsibility. And even though we are very involved in our own professions, I believe having quality family time is so very important. Just to have kind of like a setting in our homes, so that we have a certain time for everything, right? So basically we are more concerned about our health and our family's health, and also how they do academically, and all of those things are very important. And I personally feel we should go for the broader picture, broader picture. Why are we here? What are we doing with our lives? Rather than going behind, money or technology or whatever it is, are we really doing what we are supposed to do? That's a question I ask myself many, many times. Many times I feel that, we are doing so many things. And as a mom as well, like I believe I need to give the best to my son. Both me and my husband, we always believe that, but also inculcate values in the daughter or son. What I mean is, like, we need to really inculcate the social and values in the children. That is most important for me as a mom, and a woman in this living in this world. So that I don't know whether it answered your question, but then I think running behind technology or anything superficial or materialistic is probably not going to help us. Yeah.
Yeah, I personally feel solutions to some extent is that maybe the educational institutes are rather, it is more of a business nowadays. Maybe this educational,
Mhm.
because I've been of late seeing a lot of Shark Tanks, so maybe that is the thought process that I'm coming across. Maybe the
Mhm.
educational institutes or wherever education is being imparted, they should have only a strict devices wherein
Mhm.
should be given to the access to the students, wherein they have only their learning related matters and applications or whatsoever on that device, so that they are actually
Mhm.
creating an environment around them that what is that they will have to be around, because diversion is
Yes.
very easy. It will take within seconds, you are here but you get diverted and you go and roam around the world and come back and then you lost like what were we doing. So I
Right.
personally feel
Right.
this should be something, yeah, this should be something which should be taken up very on a priority for the education institutes, and as far as learning is concerned, and also I guess NEP is doing a little bit on those lines as well, because ultimately your education will take you ahead in life. You will have degrees behind your name, but as a human, if you are not sensibly taking a good approach to your life, it will not at all make a sense, because education, degree, everything will be left here only by we, right? So I guess more of imparting soft skills or a life skills is what is more important and should be taken care of
Mhm.
and should be given importance. That was my thought
Yes,
process.
absolutely true. And we have like restrictions, firewalls, or something like that here in schools and colleges where the some sites are restricted. We do have like in the schools here in the US, we have something called as Chromebooks, which the students have access only to certain sites, and they can only use it in the classroom. So that's how we try to control their divergent behaviors, or just to distractedness. So that's how we try to control it. But again, it's not foolproof. I agree, it's not foolproof, but we have to try our best as teachers to have a continuous monitoring of students, and also making sure they're engaged in the content rather than the outside influences. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Uma.
Yeah, thank you so much. Any more? Mhm.
Yeah, we are pretty much close to, a
Yes.
lot of questions. So thank you once again, Dr. Uma, for giving this presentation. And I really hope that, we kind of do some collaborative work with you so that we are able to take the sessions that you offer to the various schools here in India and see, how we can make a difference to the society and the community at large.
Yes, thank you so much for all of you. I definitely hope to, be in continuous or continual conversations with you all, not only in schools and colleges, and it is absolutely necessary for us to actually pinpoint the needs of the teachers and schools here and universities here, so that, we can make some positive change in our society and our world itself. Thank you so much for giving me this
Thank you so
opportunity.
much.
It's been a great
Thank you
honor.
so much,
Thank
Yeah,
ma'am.
you.
thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Uma.
Thank
Thank
So
you.
you.
much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Very
much.
Thank you, Dr.
Good
Uma.
night.
Thank you very
Good
much.
night,
All of us,
everyone.
to all
Thank
of us,
you.
good night
Good
and
night.
wishing you a good morning there to
Yes,
Thank you
you.
so much.
yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoy your
Good night to
Sunday.
all
In
of
Bye.
you.
advance.
Thank you.
Bye.
Enjoy
Chalo,
your
Yeah.
day.
goods. Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good
Guys,
night.
good
Thank
night.
you. Bye.